took out my wallet, paid 250 lira. I gave also 20 lira tip in the little tip jar there. The workers all waved goodbye to me and said goodbye, and I thought, did they just totally rip me off? Is that why they were so friendly and winky winky when I left?
Hey!
Oh no!
It is Sunday, April 17th, 2022, and on this week's edition of Sunday Sofa Time, we're talking about one of my favorite sort of exotic things that I've done anywhere around the world up until this point, and that is visiting a Turkish hammam bath. Elephant in the room, everybody. A new song. I had to pick a new song because I changed music services and I don't own the rights to the old Sunday Sofa Time song anymore. So what do you think? I know I like to compare myself to being like, you know, the 14th season of Friends or something. I've been here on this channel for so long and Friends never changed their theme song, but I have now. If you're new here, I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. I travel all around the world to popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it was like to be there. And I also wrote a book called Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship. It's available on Amazon right now, and it was just my birthday yesterday. So if you're thinking,
Oh my gosh, it's Morgan's birthday. What can I get him?
I don't want you to get me anything. I want you to get you a copy of my book. Or of course you can sign up for Patreon or check out the links below. And asking for goodies is something we're gonna talk about in this video as well, but not until the end. First, I wanna tell you about visiting a traditional hammam bath in Turkey. The hammam public bathing culture dates back to the 7th and 8th century and is based on the Roman thermal bath situation. You all know this is the very unofficial travel guides. We do not do a lot of facts around here. But thousands of years ago, people were already visiting hammam baths, and it was a way to get cleaned. Not everybody had plumbing, not everybody had warm water. And I like to think of it as like the very rich people went to the hammam, you know, once or twice a week. The middle class went maybe once a week, and the people who didn't have a lot of money, they maybe went once a month or less. Not only is it a place to get clean, but it's also a place to socialize, to meet up with other people. I'm sure a lot of business deals happen there, you know, things like that back in the day. Also, due to the culture, they are not usually mixed. Usually there's men's and women's, and it's not men and women together. So basically a hammam is a place to go and get completely cleaned and relax, have some tea, have some conversation, and then go back out into the world. Of course, over the years, the hammam culture has changed a lot, and especially in Istanbul, which is the location that I'm gonna be talking about, it has been morphed into something more like a traditional spa. If you do a Google search for the hammam baths in Istanbul, you'll see that many of them have become very modern and touristy. Let's say that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. There certainly are some things about visiting a hammam bath that for inexperienced travelers can make you a little bit weary, and these very touristy ones have a version of the experience that pretty much is good for everybody. The hammam bath that I went to is not good for everybody. Just keep watching, you'll figure out why. So now let me take you through the whole experience of what visiting a hammam is like, and I have now been to 3 hammams, 2 of them in Turkey and 1 here in Hamburg, Germany. Of course, the one here in Hamburg, Germany is, you know, was built like in the last 20 years or something like that. It's not a super old traditional one based on some, you know, Roman bath that had been renovated over the years. But I also visited one in Kusadasi while I was on a cruise, and that one was sort of made for tourists, but also still very traditional. And the one that I visited in Istanbul was very, very traditional. When I was trying to decide which hammam I wanted to visit, I wanted to make sure that it was one that was not made for tourists. You know, kind of like how it's sometimes nice to go to a small restaurant on a side street that only the locals go to. That was the hammam experience that I wanted to try to find. And after doing a lot of research and reading reviews and looking at websites and looking at Google Street View and stuff like that, I came up with the Firuzage Hammam, which is located here. I'm showing you on the map. And this is what it looks like from outside. There's really not anything spectacular about the outside, and the inside is even less spectacular. So I walked in the door, walked down a small staircase, and entered the world of hammam. This entrance area has an upstairs and a downstairs, and it's open to the top, kind of like, it seemed like an old cowboy saloon to me. There's a big wood-burning stove in the middle with a kettle of tea on it, and for the basic price, you get a locker with a padlock with a number on it corresponding to the locker number, and inside the lockers are flip-flops and a skimpy little towel. Most old school hammams have this sort of like open salon area as the dry part of it. This is where you pay, this is where you change your clothes, this is where you get your towels. I was greeted by one of the hairy Turkish dudes working there who spoke just enough English to be able to explain to me what the deal was. He pointed to a sign listing the services they offer, asking me, good? And I said, good. Then he got a lock with a key and pointed to a small locker room, a very rustic little locker room, and just said, change. They do also have changing cabins with little beds. Those cost more. I didn't need one of those, but I think you just have to ask for them. I don't know what they would have cost, but so if you go to hammam and you want a cabin to change in, you can just ask for one. And one piece of advice I can give to you if you're going to visit hammam is bring your own flip-flops, because
Girl, who knows how many people have worn those?
And if they've ever been washed.
I had brought my swimsuit to wear under the towel because I knew that in the very touristy ones, they say you need to bring a swimsuit and the women have to wear a bikini. Well, I quickly realized when I went into the warm and wet part of the hammam that nobody else was wearing a swimsuit, so I went right back out and took it off just because when in Rome, you know, we've talked about this enough, you all know I don't really have a big problem with nudity. I've been to clothing optional beaches. Here in Germany, when you go to the spa, when you go to the sauna, everybody's naked, so it wasn't a big deal for me. What kind of was a big deal was, let's say that at the time I showed up, there might have been like 35 other customers in this facility, and I was absolutely the only guy without a big bushy hairy chest. Full disclosure, I do have a big bushy hairy chest, but I shave it all off. The guys in Turkey don't do that. So not only did I feel like a major outsider just because I wasn't Turkish, but also I felt like my chest was like glowing. So if you do manscaping and you haven't done it before you go to Turkey, might as well just wait till you get back. The setup of this hammam and just about every hammam was similar. There is a larger sort of central room with a warm marble slab, and then around that are little washing stations. And attached to this main room, at least in the Firuzage hammam, are some smaller rooms also with warm benches and washing stations. So the first thing you do, just plop down next to one of these stations and take one of the bowls and just start washing yourself. You can bring your own shower gel or whatever inside if you like, and at this hammam, there were bars of soap everywhere, so I just kind of looked at what everybody else was doing and did the same thing. Grab a bar of soap, grab some hot water, splash it over myself, soap myself up, rinse it off, and then just keep sort of dousing yourself with hot water to have, you know, kind of like a sauna effect, to get sweaty, to get clean, and to help you relax. There were some guys talking to each other in there in Turkish. There were also some people just sort of, you know, chilling, doing their own thing. And this hammam also had a sauna and a steam room. And now I say that this is a very traditional Turkish hammam, and having a sauna and steam room is not traditional, but I think a better way to describe this place is absolutely not fancy at all. This hammam is probably more like one for the working class. There's something else very special about this hammam that I'm gonna try to explain to you as we go along here. One of the main draws of going to visit a hammam is this hammam washing ritual, which includes a really thorough body scrub and then getting washed and massaged with a huge ball of soap bubbles. That is something that will happen to you in any hammam experience. And I was there for that. I knew I wanted to have that, but what I didn't understand when I first got there is how do I do it? I saw the rooms where it was happening, but I didn't know, does somebody come to get me? Do I have to go there? How does it work? And after my whole experience there, I saw that when the large room was not that full, they did this ceremony right there on the big flat slab, and when the large room was full, then they had 2 other smaller rooms where they took people to do it. And when it finally was my time, one of the, I don't know, what do you call them? The hammam masters was walking around and just asking people, did you have it yet? Did you have it yet? This is all in Turkish. I'm assuming that that's what he said, because when he pointed at me and gestured to the back, I went like this. He reached his hand out to help me stand up and gestured for me to come with him. I mean, obviously, with my shining white chest, he knows, okay, this guy doesn't speak Turkish, so we'll use body language. And I knew what he wanted. So he took me back to this smaller room, also with a marble slab, and this is where the fun begins. I'm gonna tell you about everything in great detail right after this commercial break. Did you get one? What was it about? Write it in the comments below. In this bathing culture, as I've mentioned already, the very traditional locations still have men only and women only sections, or men only and women only days, or some of them are literally still just men only. The place I went was also men only. And if you are planning to visit a hammam in Istanbul, and you're watching this video to get information, let me just tell you right now, if you're not used to visiting other places that are men only, you definitely shouldn't go to this hammam. But the reasons for that have nothing to do with the staff there. So let's go back to me in this room with this big bellied
Turkish daddy.
I knew from my past hammam experiences that, yeah, you lay down there and then first they dump hot water on you, take this like a sandpaper glove and then scrub down your body. And even if you think you have no dead skin on your body,
they're gonna find it.
And the first thing that was just a little bit, I don't know, shocking makes it sound so little bit more than it was. We walked into this room, he gestured for me to lay down, and as I was laying down, he grabbed the towel that was around my waist and just like flipped it off of me. And I mean, I was, this is gonna sound so wrong, but I was like, well, okay, whatever. You know, when you go to get a massage in other spas, a lot of times you're naked too, so this didn't seem such a big deal, but just the fact that he grabbed my towel and was like, whoosh, was a little bit intense. He told me to lay down, and I laid down on my stomach first, and then he took the towel and he like sort of balled it up and literally just covered like the very bottom of my butt crack. So the front of me is naked laying on this warm marble slab. The back of me is basically naked except for this like ball of towel on the bottom of my butt crack. And then he starts splashing the hot water, all that's fine, and scrubbing my back, and I can see out of the corner of my eye skin. It looked like he was grating cheese on top of me. You know, there were peelings of skin building up around me. And he was using a firm pressure, but I wouldn't call it rough. There was nothing about it that seemed rough, and I know I joked about it saying that I got manhandled by a Turkish daddy. And I mean, the fact that he ripped off my towel and is like,
lay down.
It felt commanding in a way, but not impolite or rough. And he did, you know, take my arm and lift it up and put it back down, and he lifted up the back of my leg and put it down, and the other leg and put it down. And then he picked up the little ball of towel that was on my butt crack and said, change. I was butt naked and had to flip around and then lay there on the thing, and the meat and potatoes were on display. That was a little bit uncomfortable to me. Usually when you go to a massage and it's time to change, if you are naked, they lift up the towel and hold it as, you know, kind of like a wall, and then you flip around and then they slowly put it back down on you so, you know, nobody sees anything. This was not like this. And this guy, let me say it again, this guy was not interested in looking at my bits and parts. That was just, I don't know, how they do it. So I'm laying there thinking, gosh, I hope he covers up my stuff. And he did. He again took this towel and he somehow like folded it in a way and then sort of draped it literally just around the stuff. I'm gonna show you a diagram here, and all this part of my body was completely exposed. Just that little red part, that was the part that was covered by the towel. And then he started splashing the hot water on me again and started scrubbing me down and grabbed my arm and was lifting it up and putting it down and scrubbing down here. And there was so much skin, people. I couldn't believe how much skin was coming off of me, but I don't mean that like in a bad way. You know, that kind of peeling, it's a good thing, right? Right? And I mean, he went places with that sponge, places that nobody besides Marcus has touched me in a very long time. And no, nothing inappropriate, but like, he basically couldn't have been any closer. Let's put it that way. There were moments where I thought,
did I get on the wrong train? Is this going to a station that I'm not willing to travel to?
But it did not. This was just a guy doing his job, which is to thoroughly wash his customers. After the good scrubbing and grated cheese laying all over me, he kept taking buckets of water, washing it down, washing it away, and then he had a bucket full of soapy water and put like a net into it. I think it's probably almost like a nylon stocking or something. Puts it in there, shakes it up and down a little bit, and then like pulls it, I don't know, somehow pulls it apart, and it makes a huge bubble of foam. And then he took that, and I was covered in this soap foam. And then he proceeded to give me a very short, let's say maybe like 8 to 10 minute massage with this soap foam. And once again, when I say that I think this is probably the closest thing I've ever had to an erotic massage without it being actually erotic at all. You know, the way that he was doing this was very professional. It's just the places that he was touching are places that aren't usually touched in any other kind of massage service I've experienced. And it definitely was something different. I don't know how else to describe it, but like I said, he seemed like he was just going about his job. Flipped me over, did the whole back as well, and yeah, when I walked out of that room, I was scrubbed and cleaned and massaged. There was literally only a very small percent of my body that had not been thoroughly scrubbed and washed by this dude, and that is his job. So once I was back on my feet and out of that room, he asked me, oil massage, you want oil massage? And I said, sure, yes, I want oil massage. Come, he said. He led me out back to the dry area and took me to like the towel station and grabbed a dry towel and just pointed at my wet towel and said, change. So there I am, like in this lobby area, basically, taking off this wet towel, standing there butt naked for a second, and he opened up the dry towel and wrapped it around me, and he said, come, come. Then we went up a very steep, sort of treacherous stairway when you're wearing flip-flops that aren't your own, and pointed back to the corner to a cabin where there was a guy on his telephone smoking a cigarette, and he yelled over to him, I don't remember what his name was, and the guy looked up and was like, oh, yeah, hey, my friend, come, come. So I walked over to him and he pointed to the massage bed in this small room and said, go lay, I finished, then I come. So he wanted to finish his cigarette. I checked out the bed and I thought, okay, I wonder how long it's been since this towel has been changed. Like I said, nothing about this place is luxurious in any sense. If I had to use some negative words, I'd say it's a little bit musty and definitely could use some upgrades in many areas of the place. But I figured, all right, I'm here now, I'm gonna go for it. What's the worst thing I can get from a towel that somebody else has sweat on? Lice or scabies. Could get those things. And because I was unsure about that towel, I decided, okay, I'm gonna go for it and I'm just gonna take off this towel that I have on and I'm gonna lay it down there and then I'm gonna lay on the towel and then just lay here totally naked. But Smokey Guy wouldn't allow that. He saw me putting it on there and he's like, no, my friend, no, here. And he took the towel, patted on the bed. Now you lay. So I laid down, just like the guy down in the wet and steamy part, he took the towel and just put it like over the very, very bottom of my butt crack. After that, he came in and gave me probably one of the top 3 massages I've ever had in my life. And if you've been around here for a while, you know that in the lockdown, one of the projects that I did was I got certified as a sports massage therapist and a kinesiotaping therapist. So I kind of know about massages. I've had a lot of massages myself, and he was amazing. I didn't want it to end. And just like the guy downstairs, when it was time to flip, he ripped the towel away and he's like, change, and I'm laying there butt naked. And then he did this trick with the folding and just put it like draped it like a wreath around my genitals. And he massaged every square inch except for where the towel was. And it was fantastic. After the massage, he grabbed my towel, held it up for me. I got down. He put it back around my waist and sort of tied it in the corner, slapped me on the shoulder, said thank you. And then I went back down into the wet part to sort of wash the oil off of me, go do a sauna and go do the steam room, and hung out there for a little bit longer, had some iced tea. And by this time, it was sort of after work hours. I think it's probably like 6:30 or 7 at night, and it was starting to get really crowded. And this is where I want to say something special, but also sort of coded about the Firuzage hammam bath. I think most of you know I've been together with Marcus for 16 years. If we want to go out and be around other, guys who are together with guys, we have plenty of places here to go and do that because it's very widely accepted here in this part of the world and in many parts of the world, especially where most of you are. That situation is pretty different in Turkey still. And so the places where people like Marcus and I go aren't always advertised as those kind of places. And even though it is also not advertised at this hammam or any other hammam in Istanbul, I'm pretty sure from certain situations I experienced there, certain conversations I overheard, that this is a place for people like Marcus and I. So let me just say it again. If you are not used to visiting places that are for men only wherever you live, this probably isn't the best hammam for you. I'm not going to go into any more detail about that. If you have any questions, write them in the comments or send me a private message on Instagram or Facebook. And the reason I'm saying this in a somewhat coded way is because I wouldn't want to do anything that would harm this business because, if one of the bars that Marcus and I go to here closes, we have so many other options if we want to go out and, be around people like us. But if that place closes, that's like one of probably only a few places in all of Istanbul where like-minded dudes can hang out. I hope you know what I'm saying. And no, this has nothing to do with me getting a happy end massage that I'm just not telling you about. That's not what I'm talking about. There is, however, something about this whole experience that I found shocking. There's no other way I can explain my reaction to this experience other than shocked, and that is the price. The website for this hammam is a very simple website, and I don't think it's even in any other language other than Turkish, which is one of the things that made it very appealing to me in the first place. But I looked at the prices for the sort of touristy hammams, and they all start at like 55, 60 euros for the basic package, like what I had there. And I was assuming, okay, whatever it costs is what I'm gonna pay. It's probably gonna be around 50, 60 euros, and I'm totally cool with that. When I came out of the dry part for the final time, I was met there by another hairy Turkish dude who asked me, finished? You finished? And I said, yeah, finished. So he also gave me a dry towel to put around my midsection. He said, sit, and asked me to sit at a place next to the stove in the middle. And then he brought a really, like a normal towel, like a soft cotton towel, and he wrapped it around my head and asked me if I wanted something to drink. And he brought me a freshly pressed pomegranate juice, which was amazing. And throughout my time there that night, I had also taken 2 iced teas out of a refrigerator there. And the way it worked here is you just take it out and go to the cash register guy and show him the number of your locker, and he sort of like keeps a tab for you. So I had unlimited entry to the bathing area. I got the whole hammam ceremony with the scrubbing, the washing, and the soap massage. I also got an amazing 30-minute oil massage, 2 iced teas, and a freshly pressed juice. And before I tell you what it is, just think of a number in your head when you consider that the touristy places were, you know, starting at like $55, $60 for just the basic package. And when you consider I also got the oil massage and 3 drinks, and I was one of probably only 3 or 4 not Turkish people to wander in there that day. What do you think they charged me for that? Just think about it. Think of a number. I'm gonna wait a second to tell you what it was. After I had gone back to my locker and put on my clothes, and I left the flip-flops in there and brought the towels back to the towel station guy, then he put his arm around me, took me over to the cash register guy, and told me 250 Turkish lira. Now, 250 sounds like a lot, but there's an exchange rate. Took out my wallet, paid 250 lira. I gave also 20 lira tip in the little tip jar there. The workers all waved goodbye to me and said goodbye, and I thought, did they just totally rip me off? Is that why they were so friendly and winky when I left? And the first thing I did when I got outside was go into my telephone and figure out how much 250 Turkish lira is, and it was 15 euros. 15 euros, which is like 18 US dollars for all of those services and 3 drinks.
Say what?
Can you believe that? That is why this experience was one of my favorite sort of exotic things that I've done anywhere in the world. I seriously would like to plan another trip back to Istanbul, not only because there's so many more things to see there, and I would love to go back at some time when it's not snowing, but I cannot imagine going back there and not visiting this place again. And even if you think you fit into that category who it's right for, remember, this is not a luxurious place. It's more like if you're used to staying at a Hilton, this is more like staying at a truck stop hotel. Just to kind of put that out there. But if you can get past all that, for 15 euros, you can get manhandled by a hairy Turkish daddy, get a fantastic oil massage, get some drinks, get scrubbed and cleaned and relaxed, maybe meet some nice like-minded dudes, and pay 15 euros for it. If that's not a great night out, I don't know what is. So this has become a really long story time, but if this is the kind of video you like and you don't have my book yet, then definitely consider getting a copy of Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship, available on Amazon. And now comes the time on Sunday Sofa Time where I comment on your comments live on air. Also, another new song. I'm definitely gonna miss the old song, but I think we'll all get used to the change, right? Speaking of changes, what I usually do in this section of the video is comment on comments from my last Sunday Sofa Time, but I'm gonna switch it up a little bit this week because there was an interesting discussion over on my community page on YouTube where I posted a poll. I'm just gonna read it to you here. A somewhat well-known guest entertainer who plays on many Royal Caribbean ships always posts on his social media outlets when he's flying somewhere. He lets everyone know where and when he's flying with the hopes that someone can get him an upgrade. And the kind of things he writes are like, who can get me an upgrade from Los Angeles to Honolulu? Help me, people, I'm in the back of the bus. And my question was, what do you think about entertainers or creators openly and directly asking for like specific support in this way? I feel like it's somewhat audacious, and actually a better word is probably tacky. But at the same time, I know there's a lot of generous people out there who would love to share their goodies as a way to say thanks. The options that I listed were, if it was someone I liked and I had the ability, I would help. No, this is not cool. Total turn off and reason to unsubscribe. Fine, but should be formulated differently. See my comment. Doesn't bother me, but I would never help someone that way. And then I love gifting upgrades. Get in touch with me. And you can see here, not surprising to me, most people think this is a turnoff. And I also think that the way that he goes about doing it it's just tacky. I'm not gonna say who it is. Some of you might know who it is. It's somebody who has a really great sort of piano bar show. And I've seen him on Royal Caribbean, I think, twice, and I think he mostly works with Royal Caribbean. So the first comment I want to read is from Picky Pants. They write, "You don't get what you don't ask for. Nobody's twisting anyone's arm to provide the upgrade. Do I think it's tacky? Yes. Do I think it's brilliant if it works? Yes. Who wouldn't want an airline upgrade?" And I guess that's a good way to put it. I don't think it's necessarily bad to ask for something like that. I feel like the way that he does it is he makes it seem like, duh, people, you can't let me be in the back. Somebody out there has to have something for me. And I just think, even if I did have it, that's not the way to get it from me. Queen Denny writes, "Maybe it's because I worked in retail and food service, but I find this cringe-inducing. I have had many people ask for, beg for, and demand extras and freebies that would eventually come out of my paycheck if caught. An airplane seat or cruise cabin is a bit different, but it still rubs me the wrong way. It's up to you, but I don't ask for upgrades unless I plan to pay for them." Yeah, I think that's a good point. You know, I get messages from some of you, and I've met some of you also in person, and I know that there are generous people out there. There are people who have offered to pay for entire cruises for me, and I've always said no to that just because, I don't know, for a number of reasons. That doesn't mean that I will always say no, so hey, if anybody out there has an offer. But what you won't see on the Very Unofficial Travel Guides is me acting like it should be obvious that I'm not gonna sit in the back of the plane because it's one of your jobs to help me get to the front of the plane. It's not. That's my job. If one of y'all wanna help, that's great, but I'm not gonna be begging for it like he does. Final comment is from Cardi. Cardi says, "It's petty and classless, but at the same time, this person didn't hurt or harm anyone. All she did was just ask for what they wanted and hope someone will give it." That's true. And, you know, I think I'm probably repeating myself here. I think there's a better way to ask for it than to state it like it should just be obviously happening, right? All right, everybody, I hope you had a fantastic Easter. Don't eat all your Easter candy at once. I already have so much chocolate here. I don't know when I'm gonna finish it. And next week, we will be on the Virgin Valiant Lady. So make sure you stay in touch. Make sure you're following me on Instagram and Facebook. That's where you're gonna see the daily updates. If you've signed up to patreon.com/veryunofficial, make sure you check over there for the updates on what's going on underneath here. And I'll be back here in front of the red sofa very soon. Bye-bye.